Hi there. Guess who? Yes, this is Al. And now, let's see. This here image is that of a woman smoking a cigarette in a bar. And that bar, according to the description of the image, is called Bar Sepia. Sepia. And I looked it up, and that happens to be in New York City, apparently. But I couldn't be sure, so I checked online. In fact, and I believe that is in fact the bar, the one in New York, in Brooklyn. In fact, if you look at images here, you see this here would be looking from the other direction. I don't know how to get them both same time here. It's stuck. See, that's a square wooden bar, rounded corner. That's got a square corner. That part's different, but I'm pretty sure it's the same place. And because after further investigation, I went to Facebook, and I looked at Bar Sepia, seeing if I could get if they had a, I don't know if I got it through here. This is not the one. Must have been Google search. Brooklyn. They have it has a Facebook. Oh, here it is. Yeah. No, that's that same picture. The question is, if we find bricks like this and that, if they have a picture that I couldn't find one from this same angle, but they do have a bunch of pictures, and I did find those bricks, so I think it's this place. And I know this is critically important to find out, so that's why I'm going through this here. There, see? There are the bricks. Okay? So you got the bricks, you got the wooden bar, the front. Can I see it here? The chairs. Well, I don't know about the style of chairs. Now they have some photos. These are wooden chairs. These are also wooden. They have short backs. Although things do change over time. I don't know. I can't be certain. But there's a possibility that is Brooklyn, New York, in which case this would be an American lady, probably. And that would explain why she looks so unhappy. Because she's in New York. New York is a horrible place to live. Or even just to pass through. Terrible, terrible. Okay, now, aside from that, I came up with an idea for a project. In fact, I recorded this lesson, if you want to call it, already, and I had a look at it, and I realized that I got sidetracked. So I'm doing the beginning part again. And I've started out with a sidetrack already. So therefore I disallow to go on to further sidetrack. Here's what I want to do. You remember I said that I want, and I keep avoiding, I would like to make a Win32 version of this program. Edit. Exactly the same interface, same, the menus and editing and so on. Except it would be a Win32 application. So that would mean that you can use long file names, for instance, and it won't mess things up. I can use the Windows clipboard, which I would like. It's a project that is something of a lot of educational value, because the way I'd like to do it is I would like to take a step backwards from what we've been doing. We've been using the Windows, what they call the base API, to develop these various classes that we have, like this. This project was used in one of the tutorials when I was first testing out TS Window, and in it, well, it makes a window. I'll run it. I'll show you what it did. It does. Okay, and so just I'll show you how you could draw text and the client area. Now you'll notice, and this is the part that I got sidetracked on. I still want to point this thing out. Here's a window, okay, and when we were, you don't remember or didn't see it, when when this came up initially, there was always this little bar at the bottom, a little bit of unpainted area. Okay. Now, what is going to happen if in its current state, if I drag this down, what happens is I get more glitches, this time in black. But the reason there's blue here also has something to do with some of the changes that I've made following this initial test. There's a lot of glitchiness to do with this corner, and I thought I completely fixed that problem, and I had actually, in a way, fixed that problem. But in a different manner. Now, the thing that I just wanted to point out briefly to do with that is, in fact, this Google Chrome, and that point in time where I decided I didn't want to take any more updates from Microsoft, because the last update was, so horrible that it looked like it was going to just destroy my system. So that was enough. I said stop, and I completely reverted that update, uninstalled all the updates, turned the update service off, and I'm still at that point. That I'm sure I've missed about 100 critical life or death updates, but whatever. Those updates will not. The worst that can happen is the computer gets destroyed, and I gotta, reinstall the operating system. Okay. Now you will have noticed if you weren't uh, told, you wouldn't have. But there's a gap here. And that gap occurred around the same time when I was getting those updates. And to prove that I knew that the gap wasn't there, and then suddenly it was. And I went searching through my old videos, trying to find evidence that this gap wasn't always here, and it had to do with that update. And I found, turns out, I didn't delete it. I did delete it. Maybe, okay, well, it was 118. It was lesson 118, right at the beginning. Backups, I think. What's that? No, maybe not. That, because I don't remember if it. Yeah, 0. I lost it. What number? Maybe it was just 18. Could it be? No, that was the DOS section. Oh wait, this one, this 18. Okay, now that's right. That's why I said a little lock. I can tell you about the lock later. Put it on mute. Okay. This is Chrome, and as you can see, no gap. That's before the update. After the update, it was like this, and I thought it had to do with the update. But that can't be the case because I undid the update and it's still there. But I seem to remember that other programs had that same glitch. I can't find any evidence yet. In fact, it looks like I must have been, I'd forgotten. I hadn't remembered correctly. See, there's no gap here with this, but I seem to remember that there was a gap also with the compiler here. And with this program, I'm going to run it. This thing has a maximize box, and if you maximize it, you'll notice that same gap and it's the same style. Now here's where I really diverged too much, but I'm just going to show you something it's just something of interest that's related to the gap. Maybe related to the gap, maybe not. I'll have to look further back through my videos and see if it was always the case. This here thing called the start menu. I sort of cleaned it up. My thing is small now because I removed all I erased the recent item list, so there's no recent items. I noticed something interesting today about this, and I hadn't noticed it before. This thing, although it must be using the themes, right? I mean, it is explore, the start menu and everything, and it's with the rounded corners and everything. But where's the shadow? You know how all these things have shadows? This thing casts a shadow, but the start menu doesn't. And it's even got transparency, right? But it doesn't cast any shadow. And this stupid window does. And everything does. Except this. Well, maybe some things don't. Does this give a shadow? That has a shadow. It's themed. It's not a dialogue, it's just regular window. What about a regular dialogue? Regular dialogue. Animate. Shadow. Yeah. All the things that have this, even the shadow even goes this both ways. As though the light were centered and not far away, I guess. And so the scattering would be in an outwards direction or something. Not so with the start menu. But also, although it's less evident here, well, maybe it's more evident. If you take a print screen of this has the bar too. See? It's missing a little bit at the bottom. Okay, now I am getting diverted. The thing about the bar and the reason it got me curious was the fact that this thing has a bar, and I'm certain that I fixed it. And in a sense, I had fixed it. In one sense, I fixed it, and in another sense, I hadn't fixed it. The reason for the bar, if you recall, is that when you draw a rectangle in Windows, and you don't have a pen, it doesn't matter. The system assumes that you're drawing a rectangle with a border of minimum 1 pixel width pen, and that's documented in the help file, turns out. And so if you have a null pen, you're supposed to add 1 extra pixel for your rectangle. And this thing has the bug because it does its own drawing. What I've done to fix the problem, one of the things I did to fix the problem, well, I thought we fixed it this one. In fact, we did, and somehow it got broken again. That's right. Or maybe I broke it. No. I as a check, I added one to these, and it worked. It worked. It painted it correctly. I think. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. What this thing does is it gets that device contact, and the very first thing that it does is it draws a rectangle, and this rectangle here with no parameters uses the client rect. And the client rect is 640 by 480, and it doesn't add 1 extra pixel if there's no pen. The reason I haven't been seeing that bug following this is that it turns out you don't need to do this rectangle thing at all, because I've fixed up or made possible the ability to add a background brush, to add a brush to the window class. So I need a wind class, which takes a class name of constructor, right there, and then you say set brush, and just quickly, worrying about resources, just do that. So before the window's been created or anything, the class now has has a brush. Doesn't have a pen, but it has a brush. And I don't need to do this. And do that either. That's a null pen. That's the default. And I'll use that MH pen for anything. Shouldn't. Well, let's see what happens. Oh, we're not finished yet. I have to use that name. Instead of registering by name, I register by class. Bracket. So that just is part of the class rather than something that I'm drawing. And it turns out that the system takes care of drawing the background with the current brush. I don't think, definitely the default handler has nothing for WM Paint. So this is being filled in by the system, and the system's making that correction. Even if I maximize this, it's correct, right? So now there won't be any glitches. That fixes that problem. However, you don't have to do it this way. And it should still work. So I just went and fixed that. So that's all there is to that, and I have no idea what happened to Chrome. Let me put my fix back. So I definitely want that. Okay. So the rectangle function makes a correction. So now we're back to this. This window has no brush, but it draws its own background, and the rectangle function makes a correction if there's no pen. So it will work. There. See? So now it could be manual or just using the class. Okay, now getting to the point. The point is this wind has to do with this window project. Now, so far we've been making dialogues and console programs. Occasionally we'd make Well, one of the windows we made was this, right? It did this thing. That scroll bar that doesn't do anything. Title bar. Another window you just saw was this. These are the same windows. That's a TS window. This thing here, is that a TS window? No. What else would we use a TS window for? This is a dialog. Oh, this. There's an invisible TS window here. But we haven't made like a Windows, this kind of Windows program that has menus and stuff. And the editor thing that I'd like to make has these menu type things, and it's a similar example, a similar type of interface. So what I'd like to do is build on basically to make a new code. We got something called win tests, right? Okay, yeah, there's this thing, the dots, that's no different than the last one. Something to do with dialogue, basic win, doesn't do anything. I think I'd like to have another type of unit test folder for Windows program proper, you know? So one of these windows, but with a menu, and that deals with documents and stuff, all right? And a good example is an editor, and going through the exercise of making an editor in Windows, which is quite easy. In fact, it's already done pretty much. It will help us maybe help me decide what sorts of things we would like in order to develop a base set of functions concerned with console, like console applications. There are functions specifically for working with the console, and you could call those the base functions, but they're not really. Right? I don't know how to get to something like this. Now these are base functions of Windows, right? They all take handles of console, and there's a con in and con out and all these things. But I would like to be able to use the console in the same sense as one uses Windows, but we're not talking about streams, we're talking about direct video access. So this editor uses direct video access. It's not a stream thing. We're not printing out streams, and we can edit and so on. And so one could turn this set of functions into a set of functions that look like the Windows-based functions, like create menu or something, and then give you a handle to a menu. But it's all for console. No, this is a pop-up menu. This thing across the top is a menu. There's a difference. There's a client area here, right? So one could make, and it's simpler, I guess, in the text world. For one thing, you don't have to handle W1 paint messages, right? When you've written something to the screen, it stays. So that part's easier. So I was thinking to make a new subcategory of unit tests, which deals with windows in the sense of like form windows. You know, like Visual Basic has these applications, and they always use the word form, right? Or MFC talks about the frame window, or multiple document, this and that, rather than just these totally basic tests. A second level of tests, test functions. I'd like to start with adding a menu. Adding an icon, by the way, we know how to do that now too. And this thing immediately updates if we add the icon correctly. If we add the icon correctly into the class, that's why that when class is this is happening. See how this hasn't redrawn? Oh, well, that could be. It could be. Yeah. Maybe these things aren't being freed or something. Anyway, menu, yes. So I'd like to. What I was just about to say before I got interrupted there was that thing I just did. The reason this was invented wasn't for the brush part, but for putting the icons, for setting the icon prior to creating a window. And then you get the icon appears not only down here, but also on the window title bar. And that icon cache doesn't need to be cleared out. So first step, let me check my time. First step is to make a new subdirectory for the kind of program that you'd like to make now, which is going to be something that has a menu, and it deals with documents. So there'll be a file on the menu. There will be something called file, and so we can open file, maybe do some editing. The editing part's easy. The first program we can make would be essentially Notepad. Notepad is about a 3-line program. Why is that? Because this editor here, so-called, is a built-in system resource, a control called edit. It's the same control that's used in my little encryption thing. This control is the same as that control. This program doesn't implement the editing part. The editing part's like built into the system. You see, I can do all the same things that thing can do. You know, cut and paste, do all that sort of stuff. I can't really do 5, but that's something that we can implement. So a menu like this, new, open, save, see what's involved in that, and that will tell us what sort of functions would be useful to create in order to build a similar type program in this environment, where I'm going to think of this environment together with these functions as direct access, direct video access. All we're going to use, I'm going to take these functions and use them for retrieving keyboard input and for direct writing to the screen. No streamy stuff. This does have like a write string type function, but if we use that, we'll use it in the same sense as the Windows text out, right? It has a function called text out. So that means you would have to supply an X and a Y and text. Rectangle, Now this thing doesn't have, it might have something for drawing a rectangle, but probably not. There's input, there's output, there are events that have to do with the keyboard that can be handled, and then perhaps, I'm not thinking about a message loop, but it turns out that reading from the console is very much like waiting on a signal. So there's no message loop, and suddenly you get a WM key down or something. You just wait. It just sits there and waits. And when some input's available, you can read it. So it doesn't pull. You don't pull the keyboard or anything. There is a peak, but there's no need to use it. There's a function that, see, look, we didn't mention wait function. There's a function called get. Here, let's read console input. It blocks, removes, does not return until at least one, right? So this is a blocking function. Now that could sit in its own thread or be in the main thread, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be more than one thread because it's an editor. The only time you ever want to do anything with it is that when somebody starts typing, right? There's no need to update the screen, right? You don't need any special message loop or anything like that. However, it would be of use to try to make one in Windows first. And so the first thing I'd like to do is make a window with a menu and see how that works. And then see about submenu. Opening files is easy. Then we'll see how we can deal with searching and searching for text, and whatever the standard notepad. We'll make notepad. We'll make this program, right? And maybe even implement a complicated thing like this, a status bar. Health we don't worry about. No font things to worry about. There's only one. Well, actually, we do have some font worry. In that this text, the kind of text that one uses in this environment gets drawn differently in the ANSI than here. You can't draw little boxes in here unless it's Unicode or UTF-8 or something. But that's okay. We're not looking to solve that problem. So none of that. Copy and paste. Go to maybe, I don't want to do too much on the Windows side because we don't want an automatic editor in here. I want to make my own editor so that I can have something like Notepad++, by the way. I realized this until just the other day. Has column editing. It works exactly the same, and exactly, maybe even better, in exactly the same way as it does, same characters and everything. See? It's got a column editing feature. Actually, it works better than that. I wonder. See that in Developer Studio, you have to go from the bottom. See, he's got it correct. He knows. They broke it in version 8 or 2005, and that the cursor remained here. So if I did paste now, I don't know if I actually pasted it. Let me cut this part off first. Okay. This is what they broke. You used to be able to go Control C and then just Control V like that, right? But then they broke it. That didn't work anymore because the cursor would remain where you left it. So in order to remedy that problem, you have to start at the bottom and go up. Then it works. So the cursor's in the right spot. But this guy, whoever made this, was careful and realized that the cursor rightly belongs where you started. It's like what they call an anchor, right? The anchor for this selection is here, not where it doesn't follow the cursor. This edge is anchored here, and when you do something like paste, although the first paste didn't do anything, it did. Yeah, he returns the cursor to the end. Okay, so we're going to start on next. Not this program. He's already solved the problem in Windows. So in a Windows type environment, we have a great editor if one wants it, but we don't have one for the command box. I'd like to make one. It's going to be a big project. It'll be its own playlist, so it won't be part of the main tutorial. It's a specific project, and that it may be 20 or more videos, and who knows how long. It might become so difficult that I give up on it. I hope not. I know it's a difficult problem, but I'm pretty persistent, and I try. Okay, so I'll let you have another look at the girl, and maybe I'll give you another one. Let's see that. You've probably seen You've seen that. You've seen that. Seen that. This one. This one. That's the new one. I don't know if I ever showed you this one. It's quite nice anyway, even if you have seen it. Yeah, I think I showed you this one when I was discussing which ones I thought might be anime. All of these ones, a lot of the ones I've seen have something in the in the smoke's fake, right? There's a heart shape here that somebody made. A couple of hearts. I don't see anything else, but this part of the smoke is probably real enough. This is definitely generated by something. Right? Smoke just doesn't do that. It disperses. These lines are close. This is highly concentrated. Chance of that happening is zero. In fact, for all intents and purposes, zero. There's no chance this could happen in the real world. Okay, see you.